Hey, everybody. Hey, Michael. Good to see you again.
Hey.
Well, it's exciting news as always this week, and I'm glad I'm inside because it's kind of rainy outside. So
We have a category 5 atmospheric river. That's not good. It's not good.
yeah, we're up an atmospheric river without a paddle.
We are.
All right, let's get started. Hello and welcome to Python Bytes, where we deliver Python news and headlines directly to your earbuds. This is episode 461, recorded December 9th, 2025, and I am Brian Ocken.
And I am Michael Kennedy.
And this episode is sponsored by yours truly and Michael, so both of us. Talk Python training, always some great stuff. I just finished the AI, the recent AI agent course.
You did?
Great, yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, awesome.
Really enjoyed it. Some great content there. And but there's plenty of other stuff to do. There's even a PyTest course there. But if you'd like a really complete PyTest course, head on over to pythontest.com. We have there's the complete course there. Thanks to Patreon supporters. Also, there's some new book out from Michael and a book that I'm working on. So lots of ways you can support us. And if you just want to support us by sending us topics, we like that too. You can connect with us. There's a contact form on the website on pythonbytes.fm, or you can reach us on Blue Sky or Mastodon. And if you'd like to, if you're listening, we love you, but we also would like you to check out our video stuff every once in a while. Head on over to pythonbytes.fm/live, and you can be part of the audience or just watch it afterwards. And finally, please subscribe to our newsletter, or essentially it's occasionally we send out little news bits, but mostly it's the show notes from the show. So we send out after we get it all done, we send out a newsletter that has all the links so you don't have to take notes while you're listening. Now, for our first topic, Michael.
Our first topic is going to be, let's switch. Our first topic is going to be a tour of PEPs, a brand new PEP, and a PEP that we spent a fair amount of time talking about. The first one is PEP 798, Unpacking Incomprehensions. So this one is a little bit funky. It's currently in draft stage, targeting Python 3.15. It's pretty minor, but I think it brings some consistency to it. So I linked to the conversation here, and the idea is, right now, if I have a function that takes an arbitrary number of positional keywords, you would say star args, right? Star args, star KW args is like a pretty common theme that we see. So if I had something that said star args, and I wanted to like push a tuple of values as those positional parameters, I would say star tuple in the function call, kind of like you say star for a dictionary to say keyword arguments, right? So the idea here is that works for function calls, but it doesn't work for comprehensions, list comprehensions, set comprehensions, and so on, if you have an iterable. Right now, what we have, and this is super confusing to me, I always get the order wrong, or at least I'm always uncertain of the order, is I can say, basically X for X in Y, Y for Y in thing, if I've got a set of lists or iterables and I want to turn them into like one big list as a comprehension. You can basically do like a double comprehension in one thing, and I'm always like, which one is the collection and which one is the item? So this kind of solves that. It says you can just say in the comprehension, you say star iterable for iterable in some list of iterables, and it just makes it real simple, right? So you can do that for. See, I pulled up official PEP. You can do it for list comprehensions, set comprehensions, dictionary comprehensions. If you're, you have a list. If you have an iterable of dictionaries, you can create a dictionary comprehension, and you can do it for generators if your generator generates iterables. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's pretty much it. What do you think?
That's cool. So that's not something you do now. This is a proposal. Is that
Yes,
right?
this is a draft for 3.15.
Okay.
And just shout out for a little bit of credit. This is Adam Hartz and Eric Demain for the people proposing it. And the sponsor is Yella Zilanstra. Sorry if I messed that up. I gave it my best shot, folks. So anyway, that's my main topic here for this first one is this unpacking in comprehensions. We've had unpacking in other places, into variables. We've had unpacking into function calls, but we have not had them in comprehensions. And they've honestly, this double comprehension, like double layered comprehension thing has always been complicated. And so I'm here for it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it does
Yeah.
add another thing to the language, and everything you add to a language just makes it more complicated. But in this case, I think it's well worth it. Now,
Yeah.
one other, go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to say, speaking of comprehension or the unpacking, use the star or asterisk. But one of my favorite names for that character is Splat.
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 Let's call them splatted comprehensions. Here, hold on. I'll just edit this and we'll fix this real quick. I'm gonna change the. You know what? My screen is too small. I was gonna edit the text, right? Okay, so that's all good. Now the next one is just a really quick follow up on a PEP as well. Before we move off of focus on me, remember how excited you were and I was about explicit lazy imports, as in lazy.
Yeah.
Are
Are they gonna take it out?
No.
Okay.
Dear PEP 810 authors, Barry Warsaw writes, this steering council is happy to unanimously accept PEP 810 explicit lazy imports. Congratulations. You now have a job to implement it. Yeah. The same is true for all the other alternative keywords we come up with, so lazy it is. I know. So anyway, a little bit of background on some of the thinking the steering council put out there, but yeah, unanimously and happy.
Yay. Good.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So happy to see that. And by the way, just a little shout out for the live stream, folks. I'm going to have Barry Warsaw and a bunch of other folks on to do a year in review. 3 hours, 2 hours and 40 minutes from now on Talk Python. So that's going to be fun. We'll hear from Barry over there, but probably not about the PEP. All right, over to you, Brian.
What am I talking about? I'm going to talk about another new release or an upcoming release, Pandas 3.0. So the Pandas 3.0.0, so 3.0. There's a release candidate 0 that's been out since sometime last week. But there's and then apparently there's going to be an official 3.0 released in a few weeks, but that was a week ago, so maybe a couple weeks from now, not sure. So what do we got in here? I'm pretty excited about this actually. We've got what's new. There's a dedicated string data type by default, and this is just kind of great. So if normally in things that with strings in them, they would show up as objects, but clearly they're strings. So there's a new string type, and it does change things a bit. If you have any missing things, it'll be an NaN sentinel to say that there's nothing there. What's great about this is once you have this stir type D type or stir D type, it you can only put strings or nans in it. There's nothing else allowed. So nothing weird shows up. It's not just a generic object. There's a lot of other implications around this. The stir can only hold strings. In the Sentinel, of course, the missing values are Sentinel, inferred by default for string data. Anyway, check out the PEP 14 to get a little more information. There is other implications around this, but I think it's a really good thing. Copy on write also is kind of a really exciting thing that hopefully nobody will really notice, but the idea is really anything that results in an indexing operation will return essentially a copy of things. So you don't, there's not, or not a copy, it'll be a reference. And it only makes a copy if you actually modify something. Uh, so pandas will keep track of whether or not you've changed it, and if you haven't changed it, it's just a copy of the data there. This should save a lot of time and space. So
I think
this is
that's going
cool.
to save a ton of especially memory. Because
Yeah,
if I remember correctly, I'm not a pandas expert by any stretch of the imagination, but when you call operations like filter operations or other transform operations, it doesn't in place modify it. It returns a new data frame. Like if I add a column to a data frame
yeah.
with the operation, I get a entire copy of that data frame plus the column, one the new column. If you've got 5 million rows loaded and you call those 5 or 10 times, like you're all of a sudden, it's piling up fast.
Yeah, and it says the main goal is to change the user API to be more consistent and predictable. And I think this is right because we're doing like matrix operations and stuff, and we'd really like it to be kind of like math, where you don't really care about the size or timing implications. You're just, this is what I want to do, and having that be more consistent and hidden behind the
Nice.
scenes, I think is going to be great. It's going to make this a lot easier to learn. They're cleaning up a lot of the API and stuff. It's really cool. We had covered this in one of the other episodes that was coming. PD call syntax can now be used for data used in data frame assign and location. And this idea is that basically you can just say, I want to assign a new column with the addition of like 2 other columns or something, or some operation, and it just it does it right there. Like instead of having to do a lambda expression inside, you can just do the expression. It's really kind of a great syntax. We've got a copy of the syntax in the show notes, but that's pretty great. Some changes to deprecation policy, probably because of some of these changes that they're doing a 3-stage deprecation thing. But I think this is good. I think that basically open source projects are being used more. The ones they have to think about this, how to keep track, keep it fun to maintain, but also moving with the times. And I think these are good calls. A bunch of other enhancements as well, so check those out. But I think this is a really good direction, and I can't wait to see 3.0 pandas come out. This will be great.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting. That's a pretty major change.
All right. What's up next?
This episode has typos in it, Brian.
Oh no! I'll try to fix it.
I know. Well, remember I spoke about code spell, all one word, code spell, and it was a misspelling finder, not a spell checker, right? The spell checker looks for words that it knows are good and says, I don't know that word, that must be misspelled. And in programming, obviously, there's all these symbols and all sorts of stuff. One of the things that drives me crazy is when my editor suggests that a library that I'm importing is misspelled, but it's the library's name correctly. I'm like, well, I can't write it any other way. This is the only way it works. I'm sorry, spell checker, but do I really got to go through and tell you that this is the name of the library I'm using? Yes, apparently I do. So this, like code spell, this thing called typos, also looks for known misspellings like ADN for a common misspelling of and so on. So
Okay.
why are we back? Well, Sky Casco wrote and said, code spell is cool, but you should check out typos. So typos, I believe it is written in Rust. Yes, 99.9%. Ooh, that's 3 nines Rust. Pretty good. And 0.0% Python, but it's still mentioned. So it must be less than 0.1%. But it's a little more full-featured for people that like this. So, for example, it has a GitHub action that you could just put into all of your PRs. That's kind of cool if you want. That's like a gated thing for PRs and commits and so on. But the best thing about it, I guess, 2 things. One is it uses the concrete syntax tree rather than actually just searching text. So what it can do is it can find partial bits of words that are misspelled. Maybe this is actually not really that, but it does find partial misspellings. So, for example, if you write connecton string instead of connection string with snake casing, whatever, it says, hey, guess what? The word connection and connection underscore string without the I is a misspelling. Maybe you should change, connectun to connection or connector or whatever. And it gives you a nice little UI for that. So that's one. I really like
Actually,
that. Like,
that's super cool that it can detect misspellings within, snake case words. So
yeah, this is a big improvement. And PyCharm does this as well, by the way, which is really nice. But I believe PyCharm is a spell checker, not a misspelling finder or whatever. Pretty sure. Anyway, this is really nice that it does this. The other thing that's super cool, and this is why Sky wrote to us, is it actually has a VS Code in Friends extension and language server. So what you can do is basically install this as an extension in VS Code or Cursor or Google Anti-Gravity or, Windsurfing, you name all the others, right? Because it's also in the open VSX registry. So you can install that there. And then just as you're writing code, you get little squigglies and you get Alt-Enter actions to fix it. So you don't even have to run the client or the GitHub thing and so on. Which the code spell has no editor integration. So it's really the fact that this is like that, a little better, runs in editors.
that's cool.
Yeah.
I actually don't remember the last time I actually ran a spell checker independently. I just rely on those
Exactly.
in editor things.
So do I. So yeah, it's also got LSB for other things, I guess. That means you can even use it in NeoVim or Vim or Zed or whatever, right? So it's not just even the extensions. It's actually, because the LSP, it even goes farther than that.
Cool.
Yeah. Anyway,
Nice.
Thank you, Sky, for the follow-up and good suggestion.
All right. I apparently I'm missing having a testing podcast. So I've got two topics that I'd like to talk about. A couple of testing topics. First one came in. It's called Slowlify. It came in from Brian Skin. So thank you, Brian, for sending in this idea. So here's an interesting idea. So this is a project to simulate overloaded, slow, resource constrained machines. So basically to make your tests flakier or something. Nice flaky tests. But the idea around it is a test is working fine in locally, but you throw it up in CI and it fails for some reason. So, and it might be because you've got a CI image that is more constrained. So this allows you to do things like muck with how much memory is around and how many CPUs are available and stuff. It does require it requires you to run it on a Linux machine with C groups v2 around, because that's how it throttles the CPU and memory and stuff. But it shouldn't be hard to come by, and hopefully, and then you can check to you can muck with things to find out, to try to simulate locally a failure that's happening in CI. So really nice there. The other topic I'd like to talk about, testing related, is this comes from Ned Batchelder. Actually, it's his article. Why your mock breaks later, and actually, I think it should be stronger than this. Basically, don't the don'ts and do's of mocking, and the gist of it is overly aggressive mocks can work fine at first, but then break later. Recently, a lot of people were doing all this pop down. If you've, like, let's say you're reading a file and you want to when the file gets opened, you don't really actually want to muck with the file. You want to be able to mock that or patch it. So one of the things that some people do is to patch the open function. And one of the ways people do it is patching built-ins open. This is not how you want to do it. This is the don't do this version. And I'll just zoom in a bit. Don't do the built-ins open, because it like patches everything, and it's causing problems it was causing problems in coverage, because coverage also wants to open something, and you're basically patching open for everything in your program, including coverage when it's running on top of it. So you don't want to do that. You only want to patch where you are. So the proper way is wherever, like if you're in a, the example is you've got a user um, file, you want to patch right there in my product.user, the dot following of where, right, exactly where it is. There's That's the gist of it is uh, don't mock the thing you're importing after you've imported it. Mock it there, and it's a good lesson. I didn't think that this. I thought that was fairly widely known, so I didn't realize it was an issue. He went ahead and did a search um, for Python in GitHub. You can search for built-ins open with test in there and patches and stuff, either patches or whatever, monkey patching or mock patching. Found 44,000 files that were doing the bad one within GitHub. So this is all naughty.
Well,
naughty
I don't
stuff.
know what kind of GitHub badge you get for 44,000 PRs getting accepted, but Ned's got himself a real opportunity here to get a
I don't think
1%
he
sort
wants
of
to
patch.
fix them all, but yeah.
No, that's an interesting way, an interesting metric.
Yeah, and actually, at the end of the article, also, I'd like to point out he talks about some mocking practices. Make sure you use auto spec equals true to make sure that your mocks strictly behave like the original. I wholeheartedly agree with that. Make assertions about how your mock is called. Actually, the rest of this is stuff that I actually want to go check out because I do remember this functional core imperative shell talk. And some of these other things, dependency injection. I'm not sure if I agree with all of Ned's stuff, but that's all right. Some other interesting things to read about with mocking. I imagine he knows more than I do because I don't usually mock. I don't mock very much.
It's not very nice
But
to do, honestly,
it's not
to
very
mock
nice.
people.
No. Yeah, but sometimes it's necessary.
And sometimes it's necessary. You know what is nice, though? Extras. You got anything
Extras,
extra?
yeah. I do have extras. Should I go ahead and run through them? All right. So I've already got my stuff up. Let's go. This is a great. There was a great mini documentary of Fast API, the rise and rise, not the rise and fall, the rise and rise of Fast API with Sebastian Ramirez, and it's like an 8-minute video. It's a really fun video of him talking about it. He's such a genuine nice dude. Also,
Yeah.
got
Yeah, he
got a
really
little-
is.
I am still writing Lean TDD, the ebook in progress. We go to the table of content. Oh, I made a couple of changes. So somebody requested that not only do I, when I release a new chapter, to release the full thing, but also the latest one, and that way people can just throw the latest one on their Kindle and just have one chapter, where they can either replace the whole thing, or if they've taken notes on other stuff, to just do the updates to the new chapters. So I'm going to do that now, or at least I've started. We'll see. It's a little extra work, but that's all right. I got the building on lean done, and it was long enough to talk about lean, I think, that it made sense to split it. And I was going to do finding waste in test-driven development as part of that chapter, but I'm going to make it its own chapter now. So we're going to do that. I wanted to do a sneak peek. Oh, never mind. Of the table of contents in progress so far. So I'm making some good progress. I've got an outline for where I'm going in the future. Where are we now? We're gonna do finding waste in TDD next year. So it's not going to be a huge book. Probably, I'm guessing. So right now we're up to what 30 pages is a PDF. I'm guessing it will be under 100 pages when I'm done. So it's not a huge book, but it's also not expensive. It's $10. So
At least my my experience is PDFs usually have more content per page than ebooks. At least if you ask Amazon how many pages is it. So
yeah, and even like way more. Yeah, it's more content per page for ebook, but also per print book. So print book isn't usually an 8.5 by 13 page. So
yeah.
Last one, my extra Python 3.14.2 it was released December 5th. We haven't had 3.14 around for that long, but but as people are upgrading, which is great, and they're not afraid to upgrade, but they're finding a few things. So there were a handful of fixes. There were some exceptions in multiprocessing. I didn't notice those, but some people noticed them. Data classes without inits were throwing exceptions. Anyway, they fixed some critical things in 3.14, and I appreciate the core team being on top of it. So it's great.
Yeah, awesome. That one flew under my radar. Somehow I didn't notice it. So very exciting. It's time to upgrade some stuff.
All right. Do you have any extras?
Well, I do. I have some repeat extras in a sense, in that you and I both pulled this Sebastian Ramirez one out, and I don't really have much more to say other than I want to say for sure this is a super nice documentary. It's super highly produced. It's done by Cult Repo. What a bad name. The comments suggest like, what is this, like a weird cult or something? A much better channel name would be Repo Culture or Culture Repository or Repository Culture. It's something about like, it covers open source basically, right? But Cult Repo is weird. Anyway, it's the same group that did the 1 hour Python documentary that's really highly produced. So that's all I want to say about that. And with regard to the book, Brian, for the Talk Python in Production book, I actually started keeping a changelog. I think I think even you brought this up. Keep a changelog. Don't let your friends dump Git logs into changelogs. Keep your changelog. And so okay. I'm keeping this for people who are like, what has changed about the book? Because at least, well, on Amazon says they will release new versions as they feel like it if I upload a new EPUB. And
really?
Yeah, but it doesn't say the time frame of it. And those should automatically show up on people's devices as updates. And then the Gumroad version, if you buy it directly from me, obviously I push up new versions and have like numbers. And my book has a version number in it, right? Which is kind of fun. Anyway, so I'm keeping a changelog following the keep a changelog style so people can see like, do I care? Do I care about the change? Do I need to go back? Whatever. So,
yeah. Neat. And I also want to tell people that it used to be like, several years ago when I did my first ebook, it was a little sketchier to figure out how to get a book onto your Kindle without going through Amazon. And it's way easier now. If you just if you grab a book, like an ebook for me or from Michael, you can just email it to yourself. You can set up an email address that you just email it to yourself, and it just shows up on your Kindle.
Yeah, so. Your Kindle gets an email. Mine's something with the word paper right in it. I don't remember exactly what it is, but
yeah, and it's totally you figure it out once, and I've got it's not bad. It's not easy. It's not easy. It is very easy. It's not hard. So
yeah. And real time follow up, Sky, as in the same Sky that recommended typos. It looks like 3.14.2 came out just 3 days after 3.14.1. Okay, very interesting. All right, a couple more extras for me. I was on Vanishing Gradients, so that I told you that I was going to be there. That's out. That was a very fun episode. Fun chat with Hugo Bone Anderson. And Django 6 is now officially released. Last week I talked about what was coming, but like the day after we did that, it's now actually out, right? So if you're waiting on that, Django 6 is out. See what it holds for you. Now, Brian, I think I have a pretty fun joke. This is a little more elaborate than just like a dad joke or something. Are you ready?
Yeah.
So one of there's like these joke programming languages that actually compile and stuff. And one that I really love is lolcats, LOL cats, all one word. Okay. So good. So good. It actually has multiple implementations of it, and it's good. So, but we don't live in the time of lolcats anymore. That was like an early meme of the internet. So we now live in a hyper-hyped, crazy headline, overdone age, as you know. So I present to you the tabloid language.
Oh my God.
Are you ready? Oh my God, here we go. It's a minimal programming language inspired by clickbait headlines. Shocking! New programming language bewilders programmers at Google and Facebook. GitHub, new headline tutorial. So let's look at an example here. Discover how to Fibonacci. This is import, basically. Discover how to. No, this is the function actually. Discover how to Fibonacci with ABN. Rumor, this is like a try or something. Rumor has it, what if n smaller than 1? Shocking development B. Lies. Rumor has it, you won't want to miss B. Shocking development. Fibonacci of B, A plus B, n minus 1. End of story, end of story. Expert claims limit to be 10. You won't want to miss first 10 Fibonacci numbers. You won't want to miss. Apparently it's print. And then I don't know what this last one is. Experts claim nothing to be Fibonacci of 101 limit. I think that's like a test or an assert. Please subscribe and like, no output. Oh, I'm going to run it. Hold on. Run this. Oh my God, it runs. What about factorial? You won't want to miss this. Hello world. Discover how to factorial with n. Rumor has it, what if n is actually 0? Shocking development 1. Lies. Shocking development n times fact. So good.
Oh no, lies is the else.
Yeah, lies is else. Yeah, lies. Because there's an assertion. It was lies. That's like, no, not the assertion. It's really good actually. And notice it runs. It runs. It runs in the browser.
What is this built on?
I don't know. I'm not sure if it's WebAssembly or if it's just JavaScript implementation. It's all JavaScript. So,
okay, this is awesome.
It's so good, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we need a. But it used to be that this would be difficult, but we just have to have the spec for this, and we could get like Claude or something to translate larger programs to tabloid.
I might rewrite Python Bytes, the website in it. I think lies, exclamation mark. It requires an exclamation mark for lies. Oh, by the way, people for just listening, this is all the keywords. The entire language is all caps. So of like course. Lies, of course. Anyway, I think it's pretty excellent. This is old. I didn't realize. I just ran across it, but it's 4 years old. Anyway, well done. Well done, whoever made this. This is amazing.
This is awesome. Yeah. Tabloid.
Oh, yeah. Also, Kiva out in the audience points out that every time you print something, it also ends in an exclamation mark, even if the text itself doesn't have an exclamation mark.
Oh, yeah, obviously. I mean, like, of course, it has to. Lies.
This is the end of the show. Lies. We have more. No, this is really good.
It's good. So, also for people watching the video, you'll notice a little less junk in my office. I'm starting to clean up after Thanksgiving, and we'll get there. Yeah. Anyway, great episode as always, Michael. Thank you everybody for listening, and we'll see y'all next week.
What if actually this was the end? No. See you later.
Lies.
Lies.